Our boy's first encounter inside the lower level wasn't exactly smooth sailing. Monsters here were over-leveled, and before you know it, he was slammed over 100 meters away. The ground shook, and right before their eyes appeared a colossal tree. Obviously, the big boy is nothing but trouble. The moment he uses detection spell to check its stats, he notes in horror that it has over 6 million attribute. His first instinct, of course, is to run. He quickly throws on a fresh layer of skeletal armor, then scoops up the hammer girl and bolts. But the problem is, the boss isn't about to let them off so easily. Giant leaves whistle through the air, slicing open the very space around them. Observing that there's no escape, he hurriedly summons skeletal berserkers to shield them, yet those poor skellies don't even last a second. Worse still, the lifelink fails entirely. He asserts in frustration that maybe the level gap is just too overwhelming, making even his talent seem useless. Meanwhile, thick vines lash toward them. Lin responds by casting a massive skeletal prison, massive shackles wrapping around the enormous vines. Unfortunately, the trap shatters almost instantly. At that moment, Lin sets Hammer Girl down, explaining that she must get out of here. She nods, then pulls out the scale, knowing too well to not be a burden, then vanishes in a flash. Now we see Lin dashing alone, puzzled about why Antares even sent him here in the first place. He questions whether the intent was simply to get him killed, and if so, what benefit could that possibly bring him? He hacks at the vines while retreating, and for a moment, he believes he has escaped. Just then a dark shadow suddenly looms behind him, radiating a terrifying aura. He hides behind a tree trunk, but the creature doesn't seem to be targeting him. He notes that perhaps he's too weak even to get noticed. Still, he can't help but mutter that this damn place seems packed with bosses. The scene then shifts to the small courtyard, where White Divine rubs his forehead, saying he has a bad feeling. He asks Old Mung to check whether Lin is in danger. And since Lin is carrying the teleport stone Mung crafted for him, and through the divine tower, he can sense his location. Yet once he feels it, his face darkens, tea spilling from his hand, and he reveals that Lin is in the lower level. White Divine jumps up, demanding to know exactly where, since some areas are lethally dangerous. Mung focuses for a second while comforting him, saying even at the lower levels, but as long as not those few special places, he should be fine. Of course, things wouldn't be that easy. He then admits with a grave tone that Lin is near the barbaric continent. White Divine, almost losing his nerve instantly, declares that he must go there himself, because after all, Lin barely knows anything about the lower level, and he certainly shouldn't be there in the first place. Not to mention, barbaric continent is crawling with bosses, and the place he's at right now is known as Paradise of Monsters, making it far too dangerous. Mung, however, maintains his composure and advises patience. He reminds White Divine that Lin went to the eternal trial ground for a deal. Moreover, he notes that neither of them has the ability to send Lin down there, so clearly it was that person who did it. Of course, they were referring to Antares. White Divine thought it over, and Meng observes that interfering now might disrupt whatever plan the dragon had. So, for the moment, they must wait. White Divine sighs and admits he can only hope things turn out well. Ultimately, he remarks that if Lin survives this ordeal, humanity may soon gain another half-step Supreme Divine. Back to our boy. But even so, Lin has no idea where he is now. But he knows one thing for sure. He must tread carefully, and should probably avoid becoming some monster's late-night snack. Suddenly, a faint glow of green flickers in the distance. He hesitates for a moment, weighing the risk because obviously nothing says safe like glowing green stuff. But again, he decided to check it out anyway. Now we see him approaching what turns out to be a small lake, which seemed to be made out of cursed mountain dew. Snakes of all kinds slither around its misty edges, making the whole place basically scream a big nope. He shouldn't be going there. Observing the strange setting, Lin decides to send a little skelly forward to scout. At that moment, a few snake notice the skeleton and strike, but it nimbly leaps away. The closer it gets, the thicker the mist grows. Oddly enough, the snakes don't dare go too near the pool, which only makes Lin wonder aloud what might be hidden inside. Suddenly, a toxic green sheen covers its bones, and he realizes it's been poisoned. Even so, Lin commands it to continue, determined to see more. Sure enough, the pool is riddled with crystals. Just as Lin plans further exploration, the ground trembles. Moreover, the snakes begin to stir in agitation, swelling in number from dozens to an overwhelming horde. Many of them are monstrously large. Lin observes that they seem to be gathering for something, perhaps guarding a treasure. The trouble is, a muffled boom ripples through the ground and reaches the pool. Bubbles burst wildly as a water column shoots upward, scattering the crystals everywhere. Immediately, the snakes began fighting over it, biting and swallowing each other in their frenzy. Lin ignores their chaos and urges the skeleton to grab as many crystals as possible. But then, a deeper quake resounds, heavier than before. A colossal serpent emerges, its eyes wide and menacing. It bit right onto the poor skelly and shattered it into pieces. Lin remarks bitterly that his link ability fails again, proving this serpent's level is absurdly high. Oddly, the serpent spat out the poor skelly's remains, looking all uninterested. Instead, a strange energy rises from the pool, revealing something even more juicy. It turned out to be the divine blood of the poison god. He knew this was good stuff because his teacher had once explained that anything tied to the gods is invaluable. This essence blood could be used by poison-type professionals, enhance toxic or poison-type skills, and increase profession evolution chance during the third-class transfer. So, should he risk it or retreat? For Lin, the answer is obvious. He dashes forward, but since he's going to be aggroed anyway, he decides to check out the serpent's stats. Predictably, the serpent locks onto him, but detection spell confirms this was another level 85 boss with 6 million attributes. The serpent opens its maw, trying to draw the divine blood in. Lin reacts swiftly, casting a skeletal prison. The beast slows briefly, though only for a heartbeat. That sliver of time, however, is enough. Lin counters with soul flame, causing it to coil in pain. Seizing the moment, he summons the rest of his skeletons. The mages raise their staff, blasting elemental explosions at the serpent's eyes to obscure its vision. Meanwhile, Lin rushes forward, snatching the divine blood and storing it safely away. But the trouble is, the serpent is now fully enraged. Smoke clears, and from the look of it, it's planning to suck Lin and his minions into its mouth. In that instant, an explosion rips through, forcing it to spit them out again. Without missing a beat, he unleashes mighty soldiers, all the while summoning the Lich General to further buff the skellies. And once more, he hurls soul flame forward. After all, if this serpent is so fond of swallowing his skeletons, Lin is more than willing to test just how much it can take.